Oh yeah. Okay, turn that down a little bit. Thank you much. Let me push this back a little bit. He said, ding dong. What's up? What's up? Do 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 do. Are you good, no? You all right with me? Peace, peace. You all right with me? You all right with me? Give me a second, man. Let me grab one more thing. Cheese. No, OJ. No OJ Simpson. Everybody, peace, everybody. Peace, everybody. I'm getting me some juice, y'all, so don't mind me. I don't want to be smacking on here. I'm just drinking a little juice. But I hope you got your pencils and your papers. What was that? Picture pages. Remember that on picture pages when it said, picture pages, time to get your paper and your pencils. So I'm going to give you something that you want to get your paper and your pencil. If you hit a learn. If not, you know how that go. And we can't stop that. So let's give it a second. Man, we had an amazing workout this morning. We had an amazing fire workout this morning. Y'all missed it. Everybody's always welcome to join us. I'm getting ready to be going back to my city of Flint. I told everyone I'm going to see if they let me record this little history series I'm going to be doing for 2 weeks on Friday and Saturday at the on the 20, I think that's the 22nd and 23rd. And then the last week of February, which was the 28th or 29th. Don't quote me on it, but I'll give you some more information. And it's going to be a private setting. If anybody would like to come and hear it, all you got to do is hit me up. It's no cost. We just asking people to donate. But if you don't, that's all good. It's going to be a fire lecture, some information that I haven't shared on social media. It's going to be a chance for people to fact check some things. And it's just always good to be able to teach in the right perspective and be able to go back to my city of Flint, Michigan, and do the things that I do. And a lot of times it's not with our own kind. I always say this all the time to my brothers and sisters. I said, I love my so-called brothers and sisters, but we're not the ones that's into what I'm into. And so I have to find those that's into it. And so this lecture series at the library is going to be very, very illuminating. It's going to be very illuminating. But with that being said, let's get to the topic at hand. I want to go over some things. I'm gonna give y'all some herbs, and then I might go over the gin a little bit and the esoteric science of what it means when words have synonyms, and sometimes that's my mufti. He said he can send an email. I'm trying to see. Okay, well, what I'm gonna end up doing. Okay. Whatever. When he do it, I'll have to end one of my platforms. Because one of my mufti said he could send an email for class. Or he can just stream it. Because I'm already started. I don't want to start over, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm into what I'm into. But with that being said, man, peace and love and light. Peace and love to all the prophets, to all the spirits, all our African spirits, all our Kemetic spirits, whatever you believe, that's on you. I'm not here to debate with you. I'm not here for that. I understand all the sciences. I'm Tasawwuf, I'm Sufi, I'm under the Triple Rose, and I deal with all my African spirits and all the esoteric science. I'm not here to argue or debate over no one's religious perspective. That's on you. And I give you peace and love, because that's definitely not my mission, to argue or debate something that someone may feel, not my message. So, a lot of people ask me, about different herbs, and I have a closet, or what you call it, if it's a pantry. I have a pantry full of all different type of herbs. And so I always tell people, for me as an educator, as a map and a guide, what's the use of a doctor if no one is sick? A doctor should be able to say, hey man, yes, it's about personal gain and it's about self-preservation. But if you have a God, essence, and a mission, the thing that you do, you really give it for free. That's where the homage come in. That's where the gratitude come in from the ones that's receiving those things. May it be mind, body, and spirit, or may it be all three combined. So, when I talk about different herbs, and when I talk about hoodoo, when I talk about the magic of herbs, the roots and the minerals in our hoodoo tradition, it's so much that can be illuminated on. When I always tell people, you don't have to listen to me, how I say it, for educational purposes only. For educational purposes only. I only keep talking about myself. But when you comparing and contrasting certain things, you have to start questioning something. And number one is taking care of yourself, and what you put in is what comes out. But with that being said, we talk about this magic, and I know this magically happened, but the magic and the prevention of herbs and roots. When people be saying they doing root work, I'm like, okay. A lot of people, essence is not even in that manifestation to even conjure up something that can be good or bad or both. It's just like a straight razor. If you're not ready to use it, you can cut your own neck off. It's just what it is. That's why I tell every brother when they say they Sufis and all this, and I say, are you sure? Because if you a Sufi, like myself and others, it's some work you have to do every day. It's some hoodoo you have to do every day. What hoodoo? For yourself. You have to be able to do these things behind closed doors. Nobody don't see. Go into a certain chamber and do these certain things. It's just what it is. And to be able to come from the bosom at all times. You know? Oh, nothing, babe. Like, when we deal with this form of magic, we talking about natural ingredients is the utmost important. So as you start perfecting things and doing things, when you talk about artificial, like things that's, when a person say it ain't hurting me, it ain't doing you no good, so it's meaningless. So when we talk about artificial, or when they talk about ingesting food, when I say genetically modified organisms, a substance that has no place in serious rituals or spiritual practice because they contain zero life force. Herbs, roots, and real essential oils carry with them the heart of the plant they come from. Its very essence. And this is the very foundation of what is known as sympathetic magic, or sympathetic magic, also known as imitative magic or homeopathic magic. That's the type of science or magic that's based on imitation or correspondence, or it could be both. When we're dealing with this particular tool of imitation, is the idea that one thing can represent another thing, and by proxy, stand in its place. Like when you see things on TV, I forget, what was it called? When they had all them little dolls, they were calling them, what was that, Sean? Minister to the Hood. No, what was it? Don't drink. No, it wasn't Don't Drink Your Juice in the Hood. Tales for the Crib. And that was the name of it?
With the niggas on?
Yeah, with the little nigglets. And when that guy was living in the house, all them little dolls. And I'm just, you can be like, oh, okay. Some people may say those are voodoo dolls, per se, or a puppet, or effigies are examples of imitation magic. A lock of hair or personal item from the intended target will link them to their doll and create a magical bond. It's said that whatever happens to the doll, happens to the person. It's the idea that similar actions can create similar results. The rain dance is a form of imitation magic, where the dancer is reciting the motions of falling rain to force the rain to fall from the sky. So when we talk about correspondence, is the other aspect of sympathetic magic, and is the one that we turn to when using these type of minerals, these type of herbs, right? These barks, flowers, to create the oil or the extraction. And this concept is applied in the use of plants that are considered masculine and feminine. Some phallic shaped roots are magically used to represent the so-called, the man's, while others, such as Queen Elizabeth root. I hope you're writing this down. Queen Elizabeth root. It resembles and are used to symbolize the woman's so-called area. And the two are often brought together to bring passion back into a relationship, or more in a simple way, a male root might be used to treat impotent, when that blood ain't flowing the right way. Just like when water freezes, I'm giving analogies. In the same way, a female root could be employed in fertility magic for a woman. The Bibles just speak in analogies and parables and symbologies, and we can't just arbitrarily explain. And this philosophy carries over into the entire magical plant world. When I explain this to brothers and sisters that's on their journey of physical fitness inside and outside, I always use analogies or examples per se. I'll give you an analogy or an example per se. Roses symbolize love and are given on special occasions. Like what? It's like Valentine's Day, hell. Good example. It is an icon that we all recognize. But if you were to give yourself sweet heart stingings, needle, or a bag of clove buds, they wouldn't know what to make of it. Neither would be interpreted as an expression of love. So sympathetically, roses carry love within them. Catnip attracts cats. Therefore, it is an herb of what? Attraction, and is used in spells to attract things to you. Ancient texts, including your Bible. When everybody say, oh, the Bible is the right man, the Bible, I'll be like, dude, like don't nobody want to hear that crap. You don't have ears to hear and eyes to see. Clearly you don't. It's described the many benefits of the hyssop. Hyssop. You know, that's what they gave the so-called Jesus on the cross. Taking and gave him hyssop, a healing agent. But you say they gave him vinegar and all that. I say, hey man, I'm not here to argue with no one. In some parts of the world, it had a religious function and was believed to purify and forgive sins. Christianity held hyssop in high esteem. The herb was used as a symbol of baptism, you know, and reconciliation. It is associated with purification in other religions and crafts. It is used for bruising, earaches, toothache, sores, and for calming hysteria. In our magical traditions, it is the #1 herb used in hex removal, just as it can holistically expel negatives and pain. It is used the same way magically to bring the problem to the surface so that it can be expelled or banished per se. And when we formulate a magical oil, I like to call it my talisman bag, our mojo bag, a Dow baby per se, or perform spell work and use the proper plant ingredients for whatever condition or problem we are facing. And we are putting the magic, AKA, and ourselves in direct alignment with the wisdom and inherent knowledge of the plant kingdom. And some would say we are placing ourselves in symphony with our Creator, with the God and the goddesses, and everything he or she created. And the ingredients found in these herbs that I'm going to just give a little synopsis, just mainly on how these herbs, these roots, these flowers and minerals are used in practice of hoodoo for you, for your healing. So the first one is agrimony. Agrimony. Used to reverse jinxes, curses, spells, hexes, overcoming fear and inner blockages, dispels negative emotions, used as a wash or oil to increase the effectiveness of all forms of healing rituals, used in our spell works to reveal one's true feelings. If you have alfalfa, that's another good one, to keep a powerful ingredient used in money drawing work. Keep it in your home to ensure there is always plenty of food and money on hand. When I'm talking about harvest and preparing, carry alfalfa in the wallet when doing banking or other forms of transactions. The alkanet, Alkanet, if I'm pronunciating it correctly. My pronunciation may not be correct, so I'm always spelling things out for you. The root has a history of being used as a dye in magic. It is used for money, business matters, and gambling. Can also be used to counteract those people who are trying to prevent you from being successful in your financial matters. Allspice berries. In the tradition of our hoodoo, allspice berries are carried by those who want to bring in money from their extracurricular activities. How can I say it like that? Because it's a spell for everything, no matter if you like it or not. You can't be mad at me. And in our form of craft, is used in spells of healing, determination, and energy to protect against the evil eye. Because you will see these people and they'll be buying things and don't know what it represents. And I say, well, in our science that's coming from the higher self, these are these things that protect you from the evil eye. Aletha or Althea, Althea, is to bring those good spirits and to increase your psychic understanding. Also used in the rituals of protection, also known as marshmallow leaf. You probably will find that if you just look up marshmallow leaf. And if you can't find these herbs, I can get them to you. It ain't no problem. Angelica root is widely used to be a powerful guardian, calling upon the power of angels, provides strength and power to women, used by many people for the purpose of warding off evil, and used for luck and health and family. It also protects children. Just like when I talk about blue lotus, like it's certain things, teas, herbs, and you blend them and dry them up, like I can show you how to make your concoction, and it's a beautiful thing. It's the root called the Angelica sylvestris, Angelica sylvestris, is what I'm talking about. But then you got the barberry root. You got the barberry root, and lay barberry across the path of your enemy to undo or lessen the effects. It's used in our protection amulets. When you see me wear different amulets and things for your home and for your children. It's also known as our holy thorn, used to free yourself from the power another may hold over you. You also have your beerberry, also known as the uva ursi, the UVA, URSI, and then these leaves ingested as a tea, they are believed to increase your psychic abilities and divination in modern magic. Also used in incense and Native American spiritual smokes. So then we deal with the black mustard seed. It's used primarily to interfere with the baneful magical work that others are conjuring against you. It's said to help you create confusion in the mind of your enemy. Sprinkle where your enemy are sure to walk, sometimes known as the seed of strife and discord. So when we deal with the blue flag root, it's used in our money rituals and our prosperity work. It's sometimes identified as our snake lily. I hope y'all writing these things down. A member of this iris family come from this particular plant, come from this specific seed. It's often used to create money drawing incense and in burning for the purpose along with other similar herbs and roots. This one, I don't recommend you to ingest. You don't ingest this one. It's another one called boneset. I heard some people say boneset, Boneset. This is also used to our protection of your health. And what this herb does, it's used to undo curses that others have placed on you to affect your health, your stability. It wards off evil spirits when infused and sprinkled around the house like holy wine. I tell brothers and sisters, you have 24 hours to do what? Perfect self. You do. You must understand how to flush and fill this temple. You must understand how to use this brain. And as you increase in your age and you increase in your wisdom, longevity begins to happen. You begin to see things. And I love this saying, when you get it later, you get more. It was sprinkled on me. I saw somebody put it in my pocket. I said, what the hell? He was like, young man. He was like, Sheik, I promise you, you're going to have a story, a testimony. You're going to be able to stand tall. And everybody going to be able to be like, it happened. I'm telling you. And this is what it is. And I always willingly give. Because I want everyone around me to be what? Just as I, or even greater. So let's proceed. The brimstone, or the sulfur, that powder, we use it in magic to prevent a hex from taking hold, destroys an enemy's power over you. It's used in hex removal and spells of banishment, an ingredient in the famed gopher dust. And so a lot of times people won't see me because a lot of stuff I don't do in the eyes of the public, and a lot of stuff I just do on my own. But I share these things with brothers and sisters. And then it's you, the one that work it. It's the inner science. It ain't about no card, because I got every tarot card. I burn every tarot card up. The Orisha, the Santeria, the Eligua, all the African spirits, all those cards, all that paper, we can burn all that up right now. And it's all meaningless. Now let's see, can you do what you say you can do without the cards? No. 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 When I say you become the tarot, just like you become the shrine. Buckeye, it carried to bring you good luck, money, and have also been used by some in divination. So in the hoodoo tradition, which we call it, it's said to keep you in pocket money. Also used as a charm for male potency. Others use it in their gambling, and they rub the buckeye before what? Rolling the dice. You ain't never seen them old school movies and you be like, what is he rubbing? That's what they be rubbing. But no one knows. And then you be seeing people going to the medicine man. They don't be going to the doctor, they go to the root man. They go to the doctor, they go to the medicine man. Because all in history, everyone know herbs was for healing. But then a certain family took it and destroyed it. I lecture this in academia. I don't tell nobody what to do because that ain't my mission. I say for educational purposes only because you can do whatever you want to do. Burdock, used for protection and cleansing. String the burdock root into a necklace for protection, or the larger root can be carved into a protective amulet, and it wars off negativity. So the thing that I ask brothers and sisters as you start perfecting yourself, do you intermediate fast? Do you drink certain liquids that'll flush and fill you through the day? How many times of the day are you eating? Because if you're eating 3 times a day, lunch, dinner, and breakfast, and you're doing that 7 days a week, that's 21 meals. Now, are you boo-booing 21 times? No disrespect. If you say no, then where's it going? Where's it going? Because I always tell people we are what we eat, we are what we drink, we are what we believe or belie. That cause stress and cause strains. I say the way to heal anything that's ingested, far as it's food or liquid, is to what? Starve it, sustain from it. That's number one uno. If you can't do that, then no way you can be healed from within. Because you can't even starve yourself what you know is poisoning you. So we deal with the calamus root. In our hoodoo, the calamus is used for controlling another person or a situation, and is often employed in spells of domination to bend the will of another. In the tradition of our craft, because I don't like to use these modern words like witchcraft, I'll say our hoodoo or one of our tools is used in spells for healing and to increase the power of a so-called spell. And you don't ingest that neither. The calendula is good for your dream pillows and for protection when fashioned into wreaths. You know how to make a wreath that are placed above doorways. See, they won't tell you what the wreath really symbolizes because everything that you see for these so-called holidays was took from traditions. Just like the European Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews, they take the chicken and they throw it around. That comes from our African culture. One of the 12 African spirits. I'm telling you what I know. But what I'm saying, this process of what I'm talking about is also known as pot marigold, used in home protection when blended with urine and placed at the 4 corners of your property. Sounds familiar, don't it? In hoodoo, used for winning court cases per se. Cascara, sagrada bark, this form of bark, is used in legal matters. We'll be doing that root work and court case work. It's said that you should always create and infuse from the bark and surround your property with it before going into these type of settings. Burning on a charcoal the day before a court date is said to increase the chances. And I'm not saying it will, I'm saying I'm giving you our culture. The catnip is used in spells for beauty and happiness because the catnip is also used to capture the heart of another and make them yours, used for attraction spells. The chamomile or the chamomile, used to attract money and for gamblers to ensure winnings. I don't always tell people to do that, but these ancient things, when people did these things, you had a certain type of people doing this type of work. But on the positive side, it's used for sleep and meditation, but can also be sprinkled around your home and property to remove spells. See, when other people that don't have certain things in them, when they can't go to the herbs, they have to get what? Melatonin. Right? Am I right, Empress?
To sleep?
Yeah. See, they got to get melatonin. And then what do you think, what type of melatonin you getting? Don't tell me, or they getting melatonin from a dinosaur. I'm just being silly. But the chewing John, also known as Little John, is the third in the line of the John roots after High John and Low John, and most often used in court case work, and is actually chewed, and the saliva that is produced is the element used in the spell work. You ever heard of chicory? To remove all obstacles in your path that prevent you from your hopes, your dreams, aspirations. Carrying chicory. When you see in my talisman bag, you'll see a lot of stuff I have in my talisman bag. On the day, it's said to help with gaining favor from others, told to help with unlocking inner strength and power, told to make one invulnerable and bring success. The cinnamon chips, one of my favorites. You know, cinnamon is also in your biblical scripture. All these herbs I talk about is in your Bible. It brings money to you quickly and is used in all forms of money drawing magic. When burned as an incense, it is said to raise protective vibrations, good luck, energy, consecration, and a form of divination. Let me give y'all a little wisdom. Remember back in the day when I don't know if everybody, grandmom or aunties, but they used to have these number books.
Grandma auntie ain't had no number book.
What'd you say, Shy?
I said, who grandma?
Somebody said, "Who grandma auntie didn't have no number book?" And then if you got some of those root workers that was into what I'm talking about and the herbs, all this to what I'm talking about, they'll be like, "Yup." They'll be like, "Young man." Calf's foot, used the spell of tranquility and peace. When burned as an incense, is thought to increase your psychic visions and clear away foggy thoughts and mental issues. You know? The comfort, used in our spell work for making sure that we hold onto our money that we already have. I hope y'all listen to me. Used for travel safety and is placed in suitcases to ensure your baggage is not lost. Used for car safety by creating a shacket that is hung from the rearview mirror, ward off the evil of the unknown strangers, and protections from the thieves. Now, I could talk about a whole bunch of different ones like the dandelion, Damiana. The Damiana is known, as I call it, our love herb. Just like when I talk about horny goat, the herb, but the love herb. And it's especially used in our lust magic, used to increase passion and spark an old love interest. Strong herbs used in all forms of the sexual magic, when Aleister Crowley just pervert our science and twist it upside down. When I talk about the dandelion is good for ingesting, for promoting psychic power, and to send messages to loved ones telepathically. Often used in dream pillows for our psychic dreaming and our sleep protection. Often used in divination, in our washing and calling upon and conjuring those spirits in the spiritual realm. So you also got the devil's dung, you got the devil's shoestring, the Dixie John root, the dog grass root, because I want to get to the good part because I got some other things to take care of. The L-campine, or the L-campine, the fennel, all these different herbs. The fenugreek, the five-finger grass, of course our frankincense, ginger root, grains of paradise, our gravel root, hibiscus, the high john, and the conjure root is often used in mojo bags. So the high john is a must for our misnomer African American folk magic, for our mastery power, conjuring our a higher self, our masculine energy, our sexual energy, money essence, strength, and it's used in domination spells. You can make a hand washer and infuse of high John before you do certain things. Just, a little bit of wisdom and herb magic, because I can stay in this, man. I'll be in that forever, But I do want to give you a little something before I get out of here, because one of my brothers was asking me, and I said, yes, I will do that for you, my brother. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. Just bear with me, brothers and sisters. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for you. I think this is right here. I think I found what I'm looking for. Let me see. Trying to find my notes. Hold on. I think I got it. Just bear with me. Okay. So, let me get a little bit of tea. Ooh, that's good. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from don't mind me, man. My muftis hit me up. It's all good. Telling them that we usually be on our Temple and School YouTube page, but they sent the email too late. But one of my favorite Sufi quotes from another mapping guide, peace be in one in his flesh, is what pertains to the past is left in the past, my love. Now it is the time to say new things. So, indeed, one of the Sufis, Ahmad Halusi, when I tell people I've had the pleasure and the honor to study all the laws and prophets in the flesh and those that we talk about that we never seen. But I never gravitate to one science where I miss the essence of the rest. And I'm here to tell you that out of my mouth. No man is over nothing that I do. No man. I don't care who they are. Makes me no difference. But in the science, coming from this perspective, I agree that repeating things from the past is not a good thing. And it goes against our principles to repeat things to which people have gained immunity or resistance, and thus can no longer evaluate. So when I tell people, man, I don't profess to be nothing. Everything I am was given to me. Everything that I do was asked for me to do. The brothers that I deal with, they're all leaders. But the science that we under, we have a map and a guide. We have senseis. There's nothing wrong with that. And we all are in the dojo. So, I'm who you say I am. And through this divine warning, what I tell people, I began to objectively research the reality of religion from all levels of wisdom. And so when I speak, and so when I deliver messages to my brothers and sisters, I'm here to challenge you to think, not to tell you what to do, so you can make a sound decision and understand the context where I'm coming from and giving you. When I say as a map and a guide, I'm here to give things to you that you may have heard of or may not never heard of. And then you can clear things up, because I don't care what language you speak. A lie is a lie, and it's easily interpreted. A lie is a lie, and it's easily interpreted. So starting with the Hadith collections, you know, the Al-Sirah, you know, all this stuff that can be researched and applied. All the, in academia, we call the prerequisites of Sufism, including all its fine intricacies. And then you must sit and be able to decode the religious metaphors, analogies and parables, the symbology, the language. You must have lexicons, all this stuff, and modern scientific knowledge to bring about the synthesis needed for our present day. When I say I'm not dissing nothing, but I'm having a clear conversation, because I can come from all levels. When I come from the Nabatan Library, when I can say, well, I hear what you're saying, and I know you may love this and that, but if you're saying this is historical, and then when I start dealing with it from that perspective, and you be like, oh, the dispensation is off, and you can't find nothing that you're talking about in that time period, you can't just arbitrarily explain and argue for the sake of arguing. That's why I don't get into a discussion or a debate with no one's belief system. Never gonna do that. I'll give you things for you can take and have a discussion. But according to a lot of our teachings, and according to this perspective, Hamad Hulusi, you know, we Hindus have astrology knowledge 5,000 years ago. Islam, peace and love. And I get that, but I'm with that as well. We can go all the way with that as well, but it's a beautiful thing. If you talk about Krishna, I get Hindu and all that. It's a beautiful thing when people can come from light instead of just coming on here with, you know, the wrong level. And that's why I love people that's here to learn or here to give me a piece of wisdom. I accept all. But religion is a holistic system. Religion is a holistic system. The religion it talks about a plethora of things. If you have eyes to see. And the system may be easily understood by any level of intellect that's interested in that particular aspect, as neither the Quran nor the Hadith. Yes, it does, you know, and have left any topic unexplained. But the right religion, I agree. And I agree to disagree because it just depends on the aspect and the degree a person's trying to come from with that religious perspective. Because everyone in their religious perspective or in their specific culture, they don't diss their culture. Now, if we don't diss their culture, you have to say your culture and your religion or your spirituality goes together. You know? And so that's the thing. And so what I always tell people, my understanding of science, I'm not al-Islam Muslim, I'm Tasawwuf. I don't believe in anything outside of myself. Anything outside of myself is true shirk. The closest place to find God is in my heart. But I understand how everybody else may believe, and you have the right to believe and feel that way. Because I deal with the heart. But I'm definitely not going to let no one just explain something in an exoteric meaning and then just leave it out there, you know. And so I just come from a place of understanding, you know. What's my religion? I'm Tasawwuf, I'm Sufi. You know, I study all the African spirits. I deal with the herbs. I don't gravitate to one science where I miss the essence of the rest. I have the pleasure to study from a lot of maps and guides in the flesh, just like if I was dealing with martial arts. You know, I don't diss crafts. If I'm a student, I want to be around the best and learn all the skills. If the skills are building my temple. And so I don't have a specific religion per se. Do I have European Jewish colleagues? Yes. Do I have a lot of Masonic friends that's Scottish Rite Masons in Arizona? Yes. Do I know a lot of fraternal brothers? Yes. And so I always tell people, I don't gravitate to one science where I miss the essence of the rest. I have a clear understanding of all the religious perspective, and everyone have a right. So let's proceed. So in this context, I'm just speaking on a specific craft for those that may study this specific way, or may just, how can I say, interested in different crafts, and to be like, whoa, these things are synonymous to this. When you start looking at things from an eye, from a higher science, from an esoteric understanding, it's gonna all be universal. It's gonna all start to connect. The signs and symbols will connect. But in this context, you know, but it's important to correctly decipher codes, you know? Yeah, you have all type of Sufis. When I used to go to California to this misnomer urban black store, I gotta go get the book. What was his name? Dr. Thurman. He wrote a lot of books. He was a minister back in the day. He was a Sufi. He was a mystic. He was the head in a lot of academias. When I go to my library, my storage, I'm gonna go get his books. It's about 3 of books. I think his name was Dr. Thurman. Don't quote me. And I'm gonna go get his books. You know, we have to greet the persons who had died. This is right, sir. He is saying we have to. What you say, no? He is saying we have to greet the person who had died. Is this right, sir? I don't know what you mean when you say that. He is saying we have to greet the persons who had died. Is this right, sir? Okay. I answered that for you, but I think I'm gonna answer it in what I'm giving. But remember what I say, I'll give you this piece, for I can keep this on a positive level. Everybody gonna have a form of what they say is right or wrong. If they saying they're putting a title. Where you going?
Take this stuff to Derby.
Okay. If they're saying what they're saying is right, if you're not willing to study, if you're not willing to show, I can't just say this is that, and a person says, well, 1 Thessalonians 5:21, let me see, for I can see for myself. So for me, I can't just say, because if you're part of anything, Sufi, anything, it is a certain way that we go. And we can't arbitrarily explain things to try to convince someone. We can't do that. Reincarnation of what? When the flesh gone, the flesh gone. I ask a person, you reincarnate and come back as what? An Autobot? You come back as what? And then you come back as what? Like, my whole thing is, I'm not here to arbitrarily explain with no one. But if you've seen someone come back, or know for a fact of the matter, and can be an eyewitness of it, I'm all for it. But once again, I don't argue over things that people believe or think. That's not my job. Remember, and before I said that, those are things that I wouldn't do on social media, because I ask a person, well, do you believe that? Is that something that you can prove? If a person says that, and then the next question I would ask, would you take that to court and stand on it? And your life depended on it? And you don't have to say your whole life. They say we're gonna lock you up for a week if what you're saying that you can't prove it from the source. I always ask people that. And then most people be like, I ain't standing on that. And I'm like, we know. So, but let's proceed. So then, what is incumbent on this intellectual, because I always like to come from an intellectual perspective. And in this context, we're coming from an intellectual perspective, not a religious perspective. And that's what I always ask let people know. And I said, when they come to lectures and things, when I speak on a specific topic, I'm coming from a scholar perspective. I'm coming from an intellectual perspective, to where you will have to be able to prove what you're saying from peer-reviewed scholarly research, not religion, not a belief system, not so passionate on something that you will look where you will won't even deal with the evidence on hand. We'll just go with what someone said, or such and such said this, and the such and such said this, and our such and such said this, and we do this. Okay, then I say, well, is it? How can I say? Is it written, or is it just tradition? When I talk about the ounce a lot, because a lot of things do is for the slave. The other thing is for connected to God. That was your time of rest. It's in the ions. So is this law or is it tradition? What people say, because if it's not tradition and if it's law, you can show me in your history. A person can show you in their book that they supposed to go by, per se. Per se. If not, then it's just tradition. We don't care about no tradition. You know? You say, you want us to be skeptical? I don't want nobody to be skeptical or nothing. I want people to make the decision that's right for them. I always tell people, when people ask and engage on here, it's a beautiful thing and I love engaging, but I'm not on here to tell nobody what to do. I tell people, when you become an adult thinker, and when someone telling you one thing and you may think it's right, but you can have something else to compare to, and then you can make a sound decision as an adult. I'm not here to tell nobody what to do. That's not my mission. It's not what I want you to be, it's what you want to be. And so when people cast those spells on themselves, when they say, well, you want us to be this, how can I want someone to be something? In academia, if I'm just lecturing, I don't want no one to be this. I'm giving it to you. And I'm challenging you to do something with it, if that's what you want. So then what is the understanding when the intellectual, it's your job to discover and make the most of this invaluable treasure of knowledge that is granted to you and I. I always tell people, hey, people should see knowledge, and when knowledge is imparted, no matter what spectrum is on, it's knowledge. I always tell people I don't gravitate to one science where I miss the essence of the rest. It's like I'm dealing with mathematics, and then I learn multiplication, and then I say, well, I know multiplication, I'm gonna get rid of mathematics. No. So I always tell people on here, I'm not telling nobody what to do. That's not my mission. As a teacher, that's not my mission. And what I'm saying is when you research things from all planes, you will find explanations and interpretations and all pieces of wisdom and more scientifically advanced and aligned to the modern age and maybe even surpassing this age. You know, when God's will, Allah's will, whatever you want to say, you can benefit from these ideas and these perspectives that are of a quality to bring about not a reform in religion per se, but a new religious understanding. Because in everything you should have understanding. So when a person try to reverse it on and say, well, you want us to do this? I don't want you to do nothing. I say, I want you to have what? Understanding. I want you to have understanding. That's it. That's all. And so when I tell people, I say, I pray what you're looking for and how you look at these things. We do things for the benefit to all humanity. And we always want conscious and gin-free the days till all of you and I. You know? This is what, or how can I say, when people hear something that they may not have heard and say, you have to get rid of this. I say, no. It's just like levels of understanding, just like going through different ranks of things, just like elementary, middle school, high school, college, graduate school, doctoral studies. You know? Nothing wrong with that. It's like when we use the analogy of denial is from primitiveness, you know, old stuff, while knowing one's place is from wisdom and perfection. There are many individuals who deny the truth out of ignorance and then end up accepting it when they encounter new information. This one I say brothers are in the primitive. And because we just have to say we weren't introduced to the information. And then when some of us be introduced to the information, the ignorance come is when we try to diss the information with something that's already proven not what it is. We should take heed of this. Our biggest mistake is to think when people always say, and I'm using this as a reference, like aliens as physical material beings like ourselves. When I show people things, when I say, now you got to remember, if they talking about, if the Bible is explaining everything in the inside and it makes it on the outside, what do you think is different in this context? In this context, because you must have eyes to see and ears to hear. And most of our brothers are in the lower realm. And then it's a lot of times we are or attached, or which we like to call that addiction to our preconditioned ideas. And then it hinder our inability to reevaluate the meanings anew, thereby getting blocked and stuck on the surface value and the literal meanings of words. It happens to the best of us. I'll give you an analogy. When you hear the word jinn, your first reaction is to deny it and say, there can't be such things. That's absurd. It's made up. Whereas if we do your research, you're going to learn so many new things and find the answer to so many of your questions. Give me 1 second, let me grab something. Now, despite the blockage in your brain, you try to contemplate objectively, comprehensively, and without prejudice. And then take the human body, for example. We know that the body is comprised of all these cells, trillions of them. The vital force that controls the functioning of our body is bioelectrical energy. We know that. Therefore, our brain activity takes place solely with what? Bioelectrical energy. Because in the past, bioelectrical energy, it wasn't known. Symbolic and metaphoric language was used to describe it. Right? Of course. And the classical religious understanding states that there is an inanimate physical body and also a spirit that enters the body and gives life to it. And that consciousness comes from this spirit. But see, this isn't the case. Life is present in every eon of the universe. Life is consciousness, and consciousness is life. Hence, there is nothing not alive or unconscious in the universe. But what I'm saying, however, let us not overlook an important point or important tool per se, since our brains are restricted with so-called 5 senses, and hence our thoughts are blocked per se. You know, it is normal that we don't accept the existence of other more conscious beings. You know, what my boy say? Oh, hold on. Yep, let me fix it for you, brother. I got you. That's why I always talk about the auto-suggestion of the hippocampus. The brain only takes into account the data it can perceive through the 5 senses, although outside the scope of these senses, it degrades or it disregards, just like animals per se. But whereas a brain that is limited by the five senses can neither understand television waves, nor radar waves, nor frequencies, nor vibrations, nor any other scientifically verified phenomena whose visibility falls outside the spectrum of our sight, just like the dog whistle per se. Because the five senses have been given to us that we may take little snippets of examples from the whole existence. But a lot of times we fall into this great mistake. Because instead of using our senses to try to understand and evaluate the whole, we have, on the contrary, became blocked and restricted by those things, and then reduced and confined everything to what we perceive through these certain things and through this specific lens. And from being that are the size of a trillion of a centimeter to those comprised of wavelengths that are the distance of kilometers, the universe is full of conscious beings. And what we perceive among them is not even a drop compared to the ocean, brothers and sisters. And this being the case, it is such great primitiveness and ignorance to claim that everything is confined to what I perceive through my sense. What I don't perceive does not exist. Is it that arrogant? Is it that arrogant? The molecular structure that compose the superatomic dimensions and all the ways that comprise the subatomic dimensions comprise only a part of the scale of conscious beings in this universe. And all beings that compose the subatomic dimensions are referred to as angels in religious literature. Essentially, all beings are categorized into two groups in the divine sources. Please state in this context, angels, humans, and a jinn. And from the level of the atoms to that of pure energy, all quantum-based radios, those beings are called angels. And all those that are above this level are referred to as humans and jinn. So in this context, the word jinn, also known as the aliens, exists in the form of waves. They have a holographic makeup. Please stay in the context. Similarly, the spirit of man is also a holographic wave body made of brain waves. And just as an organ in the human body, say the liver per se, consciously and deliberately functions in a particular fashion, in a particular way, and also works interdependently, yet is unison with all of the other organs forming the body and the human consciousness. We have to agree to that. We're not here to debate and argue, not when we're talking about us. And in the same way, there are subatomic and superatomic dimensions comprised of systemic galactic conscious beings that in religious terms are referred to as angels. So let me tell y'all something, man. Somebody hit me up. He was like, "She, you know why I love you?" Because he was like, all these people be acting like when you talk truth and all this stuff, like you're gonna get arrested and all this and all this and all that. And then people make up all these things. And I say, well, all you gotta do is look at the case. It's a thing called Precedent in Law Cases, Doc Number Free Information Act. I don't care how good you talk. You can be you can get absolute power and corrupt yourself absolutely, because it's gonna bring who you are. So what I'm saying is, hey, just because you talk truth and understand, you ain't gonna go crazy or you don't do that. You doing something that you brought that on, and you might have conjured up something and it brought the wrong level of power into something that started good. You know, I'm telling you, And then in the end, what happens to these individuals? They start talking about they've been abducted by the damn aliens. And I just tell these young babies, no disrespect, because that's what I call these young brothers, you were just playing with the jinn, and you didn't know what you were doing. I hate to say it. Everything in existence derives in life and consciousness from angels, just like the atoms and a subatomic level comprising the structure of a computer involve a dimensional depth and essence. In this way, the essence comprising a human, an animal, or a jinn is called an angel. Thus, the essence of all humans, jinn, and animals are angelic forces. The reason why the jinn are often confused with the angels and why Satan or Shaitan is thought to be an angel of high rank is because people don't understand this distinction very well. Because the misconception that Iblis, who is an angelic by essence, but a jinn by makeup and compositional structure, is generally known as an archangel, is also based on this concept, because the Quran elucidates this truth with this verse, and I quote eloquently with the silver tongue. And when we said to the angels, prostrate to Adam, and all but Iblis prostrated, he was of the jinn. The jinn habitually do not prostrate. This superiority of and submit to mankind. So when I talk about the al-salat, I understand what everybody doing. The al-salat is done standing up. That's the only thing that's told you how to do, which is law. Everything else is tradition. And they, for the qualities of their makeup, surpass this and those of humans. So these angels not only compose the essence of all eminent and inanimate beings, they also exist as conscious beings in various sizes and dimensions. It's a great wonder to people how the angels administer over mankind. When we talk about, for example, Azrael, the angel of death, people ask, is Azrael one or many? How can he kill so many people all at the same time? Stay in the context. Watch this. I'll give you an example. A spacecraft is sent to Uranus, right? And controlled how? Via radio waves. Sent from where? NASA per se, right? And the centers and facilities to fulfill specific functions, right? Therefore, are many such satellites in our orbit, all of which are controlled and administered with the radio waves from these NASA centers. You follow me? Similar, the angel Azrael sends specific ways to deactivate specific circuitry in your brain, shutting down its functions and hence fulfilling the phenomenon we call what? Death. Just as NASA per se can administer countless spacecrafts from a single center, Azrael can also send certain waves to countless brains at the same time to fulfill the task. And it's the same way all of the angels broadcast specific ways to your brain. Or in more philosophical terms, they administer mankind by affecting their genetic code and the radio wave, that body we call your spirit. And there are angels that don't have a defined form and exist only as pure consciousness, as well as angels that do have form according to the what? Intimates of the reality. Just as the human body has a spirit, the stars and the constellations also have a spirit, also referred to as what? Angelic beings in religious texts. What you mean? It's all in your Bible. I said you must have eyes to see and ears to hear. You must be on the way. You must be a close companion. If not, then that's where doubt come in. Additionally, every planet and star, including the sun, has its own inhabitants, which are also considered to be angels per se. We may remember the constellation, we would break them up into threes and we would call them deacons. The inhabitants of the sun, for example, are called Zabani, Z-A-B-A-N-I. The constellations in the Bible is called Mazzaroth, specifically the zodiacs. And in religious literature, they've been named this according to the people who will go there. And Zabani means to make Zabon, which means to despise, disdain, scorn, and look down upon per se. And they are not evil by nature, however extremely resilient due to the conditions of the sun. Peace, Noble. Peace, my brother Brian. Love you, brother. You know, in which they live and have the ability to move remarkably fast compared to you and I. Because human spirits are accustomed to the weaker gravitational force of this earth plane. And when we get stuck inside the sun, the strength will be severely inadequate. And you will become weak and vulnerable. That's the analogy of Superman. It's reversed. Even some hadiths say that the body will be exceedingly large in the sun, and those who go there will only be able to crawl and creep their way through, as their bodies will be too large and heavy to move. All of this validates the expected difficulty of the transition from the very low gravitational pull of the earth to immensely high gravitational forces of the sun. I hope you stand in context. So the jinn who go to the sun, i.e. hell per se, stay with me, will also be prone to suffering and torture by its inhabitants, as they too will not be able to adapt to the formidable conditions of the sun. Stay with me. All planets and stars, like the sun, have inhabitants that are specific to them, and this is natural and necessary. But because we suspect that all beings are made of flesh and bones like ourselves, and expect them to be visible to the human eye, that's when you squander away our lives in a vicious and unproductive cycle. And with this, how can I say, just this introduction that I'm giving you, I'm just gonna jump a little bit more on the main topic of spirit, man, jinn, and what people like to say, aliens. And we out of here. Give me 1 second, okay, I got you, bro. Let me grab something. Hold on, I'm sorry about that. Let me grab some. Yeah. Give me 1 second, man. I only got a little bit more time, but I just have to get my little doo-wop going on. Peace, Noble Brian. Peace, my Noble Brian. I love you, brother. All right, let's finish this up. Where was I at? Okay. Okay. Do anybody know what necromancy means? Write that word down. And this alien contact stuff, because I want to clear stuff up for people. So you don't let nobody come with that fake stuff after they done disappeared and did this, and everybody talk about, oh, this, and that, and the other. No, when you play crazy, you're going to get that crazy medicine. I've seen this, I told you, I'm from Flint, Michigan. I seen dudes when they get in trouble with the law, especially if they was, hustling, and then they tell you to play crazy, or you play crazy, and then you get that crazy medicine, you be ingested with that stuff, you might not come back. And I'm telling people, Everybody don't get in trouble for truth seekers. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that, man. And I'll be like, no, that's cap. That's cap. It's some other things that people doing in their real life. That's just what it is. Not saying people are not brilliant. Not saying people don't have a good mind. Dr. York had a good mind. All these brothers come from a perspective. But why all these people get accused of these things? Why? That's good. I'm glad. You know? I'm glad. I'm glad. That's it, I don't know what people be talking about. But anyway, oh, somebody say she. What? That's cool. Peace and love to everyone. That's all I say. So no, somebody was saying, what does that mean? Yay, somebody, they proud. Let people can be proud of whatever. So it's a safe place. Anybody can be here and listen. But peace to you and your husband, and peace to you, ma'am, and peace to your husband. That's a police officer, if he's operating the right way, and peace to you for loving him. You know, I love love. You know, never gonna disrespect no one on here. Okay. Let me hide this. Oh, see, who cares about that? But when we talk about this stuff, we have to make sure that people are right. Because I know my Islamic brothers and sisters, when they talk about things, and what started all the alleged communication with the dead eventually evolved into making contact with aliens is nothing other than the deception and the hoax of the jinn. People just don't know this. I give honor and respect to everyone. Like, a lot of people don't know, a lot of stuff come from the Watchtower. And when I talk about Islam and the Nation of Islam, I did a whole study on that, where it came in from Detroit. When I started showing people who was Ugan Ali, and then everybody's mouth started being quiet. And then when so-called Far Muhammad, whatever name you want to say, during that time, you had the so-called Jehovah Witnesses, and the brother named Rudolph in the Watchtowers, and a lot of stuff these people be saying, you can go in the Watchtower and be like, this sounds the same. You can look in the World Almanacs, and you see in the Red Book, you'll be like, well, this is not from this person's thoughts, this is come from the World Almanacs. So then when I started telling people, and I'll be like, listen, nobody is all-knowing. That's all I'm saying, not even I. I don't profess to be. But I'm in the flesh. I'm in the flesh. But those who are interested in such things clearly do not heed the warnings of teachings. You know, interpretation of Qurans and things. The truth is, all of the scholars are of the same opinion regarding this topic. In this context, the Quran is a holistic source of one either accepts it or denies it. I don't have no problem with it. I understand people don't have a proper understanding, and then they start taking things in the wrong concept and saying this is historical in this time period when you're dealing with figures, and it can be proven wrong in academia. So when people say to deny a single verse is the same as denying the entire thing. Yes, when you taking these things out of context, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. But unfortunately, however, while some construe the verses according to their vested interests, some deny them all. And here are a few verses from the Quran showing the impossibility of returning to the world after death. When people be saying they more Islam or whatever they profess. But I say, I hear you, but I'm not here to argue with your religious perspective. I say, are you talking tradition or are you talking what's law? Because if it is, give it to me in your text. When I talk about the al-salat, I say, I don't have no problem with nobody doing 5 salats. I don't have no problem. I do the house a lot. You can do whatever you want. But you got to show me that it's law. And I can show you some verses from the Quran showing the impossibility of returning to the world after death. When these people say, do you believe in this? I said, listen, that ain't what we talking about. When I talk to people that's under a certain craft, because I tell people I'm not religious, I'm Sufi. I understand all religious rights. But when people profess things and they arguing with those that don't know, the Christian and the Muslim and all this, when they arguing with things, and I say, dude, you got your book under your arm, I'll let you do all that huffing and puffing and snot come out your nose, and then what you're professing is going to be proven wrong. How? From the book that you have under your arm, sir, ma'am. So when a person asks me certain things, I say it ain't about what I believe. I say, I just told you who I am and what I represent. But when people profess that they this, and they say based off their teachings, and I say, well, what teachings are you basing it off of? When people say the Quran says this, or the Bible says this, and then I say 1 Thessalonians 5:21, prove all things to show fast what is good. Then show me. So, when death comes to one of them, he says, my Rab, send me back to the worldly life, so that I might do righteousness and that which I left behind, a faithful life that I did not heed or give importance to, the potential that I did not utilize and activate. Answer, no, it is impossible to go back. His words are invalid. His request is unrecognized in this system, and behind them is a barrier, an isthmus, or isthmus, ISTHMUS, a difference of dimension. Until the day they are resurrected, they cannot go back, reincarnate, being reborn from another world, from another worldly life. It is no possible, and it is not possible, So when the horn is blown, when the process of resurrection, i.e. a so-called new beginning, commences, no relationship, worldly interactions, family relations, titles, or family faces will there be among them that day. No will they ask about one another in terms of earthly relations. And besides these, there are many verses stating things like, they will say, send us back to the world so that we may do the things we didn't do. But after death, they can never go back to the world. And the biggest deception of alleged spirits and aliens per se is the idea they inject into man, that he can come back to the world after death. One who believed this has refused their religion of that type of Islam. For the Quran and Muhammad, peace and blessings be among them, this is what they say, has made it very clear that until the day all humans are resurrected collectively, doomsday, Bathuba, Dalmoth, and given new bodies, they can never come back to this dimension or life. This one of the pillars of the faith. All you gotta do is tell them to read their Quran. The Quran says the following regarding the beings known as the jinn. O community of jinn, you have truly possessed, misled from reality, the vast majority of mankind. This verse shows that the majority of mankind is either consciously or unconsciously under the effect of the jinn and are hence misled from the reality. And the verse continues as such. And their allies among mankind will say, O Rob, we mutually benefited from each other, and we have now reached our term, which you appointed for us. He will say, the fire is your residence, wherein you will abide eternally, except for what Allah wills. Indeed, your Rob is the Hakim, and the alim. How do the jinn cause deception and delusion to the majority of the humans per se? Because they spread misinformation. Stay in context. That's what the jinn do. They spread and misinformation regarding the future events by distorting the information relayed by the Nabis and the Rasuls. And hence the people who have been wrongly guided, unaware of what is awaiting them. They do not take the precautions they need to take in order to be prepared. Then they take the wrong route. They go after the wrong purpose. And when they realize the truth, alas, it's too late. My brothers and sisters. Oh, okay. My time. I got a little bit, couple more minutes, and I'm out of here. I'm at almost the 1:30 mark. Let us always be mindful of the following. The jinn, like humans, exist as colonies and families, but their population far outweigh that of humans. There are trillions and trillions of jinns. Stay in the context. They have a wave-based, a holographic radio body. They can easily send signals to the human brain to incite specific thoughts, manipulate thought patterns, cause illusions and delusions. What's that? Television, programming. I keep talking about wavelengths. I hope y'all in the context and programming, social media, and make them see things that don't really exist, hence causing great provocation. They have the ability to burn through matter with rays, and some can even carry an object from any point to the other point, from this point of earth to another, wavelengths, frequency from house to house. Those who refuse the religion of Islam accept various philosophical views as though they are new. And when I say Islam, I'm not talking about no religious Islam. I hope brothers, when I talk about this concept as a Sufi, dealing with the esoteric understanding, you can't find a single person who knows and accept this Islamic way and believe in making contact with spirits through psychics. Because the Westerns who believe in spirits do not know about the jinn. Christianity does not talk about the jinn, hence what we call the jinn. They call spirits, entities, ghosts, and Satan. That's what the Christian call it. Remember I told y'all, all words have synonyms. All of these are nothing other than different names for the jinn. And according to those who make contact with spirits and aliens, just like they say Muhammad did, but he's not the only one. We do this every day. You know? When people say these things and all this, you can have a misunderstanding and a misinterpretation generated by this lower aspect of the jinn. And there are many men and women today who lack this Islamic knowledge, who are possessed by the jinn, Christians too, who sadly believe they are saints per se. When people say they're reincarnation of this, how you the reincarnation of this? That's blasphemous to your mother and your father. That's blasphemy to your family crest, your coat of iron. I don't want to be reincarnated to nothing. I want to leave my mark on this earth. When the flesh is gone, I go back to what? What created me? I go back to that. I don't want to come back reincarnated. What I want to come be back as reincarnated as what? An Autobot, a Transformer, a tree? Man, miss me with that. No. The jinn can access knowledge of the past and narrate this information through whoever we like. Hence one who can give information from the past or can suddenly speak a new language in a state of a trance. It's just like when we do the call of prayer in Islamic, in the Islamic vocabulary. You should be going into a state of trance when you saying those beautiful words. You go into a state of a trance because it's poetry, and certain words and certain words that you want to make emphasis, it flow off the tongue, and you go into a certain trance per se. It's not because their spirits have lived in the past. It's the jinn through them. Remember, I always talk about the good and the bad. Remember, the jinn, I said, can be angels, spirits, this. Islamically, shaitan. In the Bible, Satan. Understand what I just said. In our science, when I say the pendulum swings the same way to the left as it does to the right. So these are some of the common questions that was asked to me when I was doing these lectures. When I do these things, that's not common to my brothers and sisters. If one consciously or unconsciously becomes possessed by the jinn, how can they overcome this situation? What can they do to take precaution and protection? When I always tell people, the work that we do, it's just like if you're going out on the battlefield, you have to have some type of decompression, because you're going to come home and still be in war mode, and you won't go to the holy man to get all that war off you, so you can decompress, to deal with your family and deal with your kids. And I'm not going to stay, I'll give y'all some verses, and I'm going to proceed. All my muftis, I'll send it to y'all. It's verses that have profound effect on neutralizing and removing the effects of the jinn. Chapter Sa'd, verse 41. Chapter Al-Mumin. My noble Alonzo right there, you know what I'm talking about. Verses 97 and 98. Chapter As-Safat, verse 7. And as precaution and protection for those who are involved in Sufism, like myself and others, I always recommend the recital of these, of the verse 40, of verse 40 times every morning and evening. There's a lot of stuff that I don't show because there's no reason. I give it to my muftis because when you're doing this type of work, you have to be able to have that balance. And those who've been affected by the jinn should recite these verses at least 100 to 300 times every morning, evening, and you will see the results in a short period of time. And I'll give you a little transliteration and translation of the verses, because you're not going to know what I'm saying if I'm speaking in a different language. You're not going to know. O Ra, the reality of the names compromising my essence, Satan, the internal mechanism, is the ego that promotes the illusory, the existence of the inexistent, and veils the absolute reality. Is distressing and tormenting me. My Ra, I seek refuge in you from the instruments of Satan, and I seek refuge in you from the presence of the satanic influences around me, and protect it from every rebellious Satan. Those who are strongly affected by the jinn, who think they've seen them or had alien contact, they should recite the following prayer 1,000 times every day for 40 days consecutively. And this is what I be telling y'all when these people talk about they've been abducted by the aliens. No, they haven't. You're under the jinn. I'm telling you. And when God come around like myself, it all comes out. I promise you, I done it before. I seek refuge in the face of Allah, in that which the attributes of Allah become manifest. The Kareem, the exceedingly generous and bountiful. And in all his names, nothing good or bad can attack them. I seek protection in Rahman, the source of all potentials, from that which ascends to the heavens, from provocation, thoughts, and that which descends from the heavens, from thoughts that conjure doubt and suspicion, from that which is produced from the plane of perceived manifestation, that which emanates from corporeally, these things that go together and grows out of the body. We talk about bodily demands and our desires, from the provocations of the day, also our internal life, and the night, the outside world, and from that which knocks on the door at night, which is your instinct. Accept it. It is with good intention. You have to understand this. Recite chapter 113 and 114 of the Al-Faqih, the Anas, 41 times per day. For those that say they're into it, it's right here. I always talk about things that's already been here. You must recite that prayer. That's why when people be saying things and they be conjuring up things and they be talking about things, And then all of a sudden you see them all messed up, and then they say, oh, they've been compromised, or they this and that, and they got no, that's cap. You under the gin. You don't know how to use that tool. I'm telling you. You don't know how to use that tool. It's just like in the Catholic when they say the priest gonna come and get the spirit, they're gonna do an exorcism. Same thing, per se. And when certain words are recited, it what dispels the mist. La hawi wala quta ella behil elul azim. You recite that maybe 100 to 500 times per day. You're gonna see what happened. And when I stress the point that all, how can I say, adversities that come upon man and woman are due to our ignorance. Think about what I'm saying. All adversities that come upon man and woman are due to our ignorance. Life is a mathematical equation. Watch this. The most common and immediate defense that is made is but that what I thought and that what I heard. That's how we get caught up. This is what I thought and this is what I heard. And when I teach, I say, you don't care what I think. Don't ask me nothing, because I can be a fool. 1 Thessalonians 5:21, write this down. Prove all things and hold fast to what is good. You should never ask me what I think, because I don't operate on my own understanding. If I do, then I'll be making a personal judgment based on how I feel, and I can't do that. Don't squander your life with what you hear and assume to be true. Do the research, find the truth. Base your life on facts, not assumptions. And if you don't want to be in eternal remorse in the afterlife, that is. So when a person will tell you that this is why this, and then you don't deal with the facts, and when you deal with the facts, you will be what? Very amazed, because what you thought is not what you thought, brothers and sisters. Peace, daughter. I think that's my baby girl. Thousands of people die every day and move on to a realm in which they no longer can do anything that can be beneficial to themselves or others. And we have a whole eternity at stake, my brothers and sisters. It is a matter of urgency. And the first thing we have to save is our future. The life after death is very different to what you think and to what you know. I promise you, brothers and sisters. Let us be among the people of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. Let us acquire our knowledge from the actual source, not from other people. Let us be prepared and not be in external regret after the flesh is gone, wanting to come back and be resurrected as some stupid Autobot. Let me give you an analogy and a parable or a symbology about a source. I did this when I was ministering in the churches in Flint. And everybody chose the wrong thing because we're not listening and we're not dealing with knowledge. So I use the analogy of the power and electricity. And so I put a pictorial, I had a light switch. And then I said the power. And then I'm cutting the lights. I flicker the light on and the light off. The light on and the light off. The light on and the light off. And then I say, what do you want? Do you want this switch? Or do you want the electricity? Now, the mind that's not thinking will give me the switch, But the mind that's operating in the upper realms of understanding, being connected to the knowledge and the wisdom, the source, will want the electricity. Why? Because I can put my electric current in the light switch, in the damn socket, in anything that I want. So therefore, if you choose to do hickey, that's what I'm talking about. You should want to connect to the source, the power, because I can connect your power source off from your switch and still be electric. If you believe there is life after death, take a look at how much of your days you're spending in the way of worldly matters for things that you're going to leave behind when you die, and how much of your day you're spending engaging in practices that are going to benefit you in your eternal afterlife. So when people ask me, do I believe in resurrection? What you mean? When you die and go to heaven, I'm gonna see Big Mama. I don't believe in fairy tales. I don't believe in Santa Claus. I don't believe in an Easter Bunny. I don't believe in a Tooth Fairy. I don't believe in no stuff like that. And you shouldn't either, because it's counterproductive to your so-called spirituality. And does your answer make you happy? If it doesn't turn to knowledge and search for the truth, then what? Don't gamble with your eternal life. Its compensation is impossible. And may your day and night be filled with beneficial knowledge, wisdom. So, I'm going to deal with this last piece of religion and science per se. On one hand, we have loads of religious information passed on throughout the centuries. On the other hand, we have the world of science overturning everything we thought we knew. And many people today totally disregard religious information as outdated because it came from the time that I'm speaking on, 1400 years ago, and used as a language that addressed the people of that time. Due to this, it is either misunderstood or not understood at all in modern times. And the failure to decode, decipher the metaphors, the symbolic language of religion has turned many people away from the book and the call, leading them to consider it as a superstitious nonsense per se. And on the other hand, science has made tremendous advances, especially in the last century, and has turned everything we know inside out or upside down per se. Many scientists such as Einstein, Max Planck, Louis D. Bourgeois, Schrödinger, Davison, and Germer have presented theories that have literally reconstructed the mental world of the modern man. The current scientific view asserts that, and I quote, the building block of matter is a single element, aka hydrogen. A star turns matter into energy by process of what? Nuclear fusion, or I like to use the phrase synchronicity. The universe is a gigantic electromagnetic field. Matter can change from form with speed. At high speeds, it can turn into energy and surpass the state of matter. Electrodynamics reflect the truth more accurately than mechanics. Time and space are relative. Energy has mass. The basic unit of all light is a photon, P-H-O-T-O-N. And these are many other such phenomenons that were known and that are not known in the past are now accepted by scientists. While poor Galileo was tried by the Inquisition and put through what? Excruciating torture just because he said the earth revolved around the sun. But watch this. I'm going to draw your attention to an important point before I move on and close, because I don't want to give you too much. All scientists are in unison today with the idea that the stability of all forms of matter, whether solid or liquid, exists only in appearance. And in reality, matter is made of atoms that are in constant motion. In light of modern science, many intellectuals state that it is our crude and coarse nature that prevents us from perceiving the atom or the atomic makeup of matter. They also claim that the universe is made of electromagnetic waves and that it is a holistic form beyond human cognition. That is, my brothers and sisters, the understanding that everything is matter. There is nothing beyond matter, which was widely accepted until recently, has now become totally depleted. And in its steed and new vision, that of a boundless universe has emerged. Watch this. Humans who live on Earth with their five senses. A 5-point where these waves densify. You know? Peace. So to speak, we have deciphered a deep secret and moved beyond matter, so to speak, through our ability to what? Contemplate. Remember I say contemplating. Are you contemplating or procrastinating? You must contemplate. Contemplate, never procrastinate. Contemplating is crossing those T's and dotting those I's. That remove anxiety. Anxiety is something new that they put on us. I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, because we left the family connection. And what? They taught us to program us, go to school, ring the bell, do all this. But we don't know nothing. We don't know how to think. We don't know how to conjure power from within. We don't know how to meditate. We don't know how to contemplate. We get diagnosed, and then they want to give us medicine. I'm telling y'all, we get diagnosed wrong. How did this seemingly material man discover such a truth with such limited sense? So let's look at something from the Pinel. I'll give it in the mind state of a English chemist named William Prout. William Prout. He was an English chemist and a physician. He hypothesized that every atom that makes up an object is comprised of hydrogen atoms, and hence the hydrogen atoms is the only truly fundamental particle in the makeup of the universe. And in 1911, in Langevin, he proved that 16 hydrogen atoms make up one oxygen atom, and thus the universe is essentially made up of multiples of a single element. And this validated the principle of the unity of existence, asserted by religious teachings. Also, after this, Albert Einstein said, and I quote eloquently with a silver tongue, because I love research and I deal with the mind, I don't care what the color is. Matter is energy, and energy is matter. The difference between them is in passing. And if matter becomes sparse and its speed increased to dramatically, we call it what? Radiation or energy. And if on the other hand, it becomes dense and heavy, whereby we can calculate its mass or its weight per se, we call it what? Matter. Why? Because it's something that we can weigh. You get it? The biblical scriptures, weigh your troubles on the Lord. Y'all don't hear me. As a matter of fact, for the first time in July 1945 in New Mexico, a part of matter was converted to light, motion, sound, and energy. And after that notion of the electron, which was assumed to be round, changed to electrical charge, and the conception of the atom changed to stacks of waves rather than a particle. In short, my brothers and sisters, it has become evident that all of matter consists of frequencies, those waves, and that we are in effect living in a universe of waves, my brothers and sisters. These are the observations of the scientists per se, but we too can analyze the realms of waves. Let us consider some examples of waves and rays that can be determined with the senses. Watch this. The sound of waves perceived by what? Dogs. The sound of waves perceived by us humans. The sound of waves perceived by cats. The ultrasonic wave, radio waves equals L equals long, M equals medium, S equals short waves that are converted by an adapter called what? A radio. Television waves, you have VHF, you have UHF, you have SHF, you have EHF, all of which are converted by an adapter called what? A television. You got radio waves, you got spark waves, you got motion waves. The spectrum of waves that we see as colors between red and purple, perceived by what? Our eyes. The ultraviolet rays, the X-rays, the cosmic rays, the wavelength shorter than 100,000 million quadrillions of a centimeter, and various other unidentified rays. And there are more. However, we humans do not know their nature and effects as yet per se. And because the crude and limited of our human senses are unable to perceive and understand the enormous wave proceeds in the universe, and they are mostly regarded as non-existent. But this is true. The difference between seeing and not seeing lies with a range of 3 and 100,000 of a centimeter. And the point at which the human eye begins to perceive is 0.0004 centimeters, where the ultraviolet rays begin, and ends at 0.0007 centimeters, where infrared rays begin. It is an extremely narrow spectrum, whereas the sun permeates many different rays that begin at 0.0008 centimeters and reach 0.032 centimeters. Much shorter rays can be detected by the film. I'm showing y'all the science. And there are ultraviolet rays that range between 0.0003 centimeters and 0.001 centimeters, and even shorter. But these can only be determined via what? And then when you look at the X-rays a little further, we all know that when our bodies are exposed to X-rays, the energy that is produced is directed towards what? A metal plate. To do what? Reveal certain parts of what? Our organs. And we also know that this radiation that beams through the body is harmful and causes some damage to the organs. And hence pregnant women or newborn babies are not advised to get these forms of X-rays. So I just wanted to give y'all that. So while man cannot detect or feel the X-ray, whose wavelengths are inexplicably small with his senses, how can we deny the existence of those with much higher frequencies? How can we deny the existence of beings who make up and compromise similar waves of frequencies just because we can't perceive them? When you see someone that's now they're manifesting and everything, but you don't see yourself as that. How can we deny the existence of beings who make up and compromise these ways? How can we look at others as great and we have our own brothers and sisters, father, uncle, cousin, that's greater than those? And that those that say they great, we teach them. The makeup of the beings Islam refers to as jinns, what most people know as spirits or entities, is described in the following verse, which means smokeless flame or fire, radiation, radiant energy, electromagnetic wave body, which means samon, fire, and infusing and penetrating microwave radiation that is harmful to the astral body. A fire that is smokeless, toxic, penetrating is precisely what we today call radiation. So, I want y'all to have a clear understanding of things and don't be afraid of manifestations and sciences, and the realities underlying the terms spirit, man, and jinn. When you say, oh, they don't talk about this, and I say, well, words have synonyms. Because it's a universe of ways and the illusion of multiplicity. I can show you all this stuff to connect these things. And so I thank y'all for taking time out y'all day. Like I always tell my brothers and sisters, I'm not here to argue or debate no one religious perspective. You can believe and feel whatever you believe, but it's nothing outside of myself. Anything outside of myself is true shirk. The closest place to find God, Allah, Buddha, Yahweh, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, is in my heart. And I tell people, if you want to debate or come from a perspective, I feel you should challenge academia like I did. And see, do you know what you're talking about? And see, could you graduate with honors? And see, could you write in a specific way? And see, could you research in a certain way to make those people say, okay, my oral dissertation, I proved that the misnomer black man was the father of civilization proved by the Bible alone, from no biasness, from no hate, from no racial perspective. I proved it. My oral dissertation and my written dissertation at Grand Canyon University, I got an A++, and I got a standing ovation. I proved that the misnomer black man is the father of civilization, proved by the Bible alone. I didn't even have to come from different history books and all that. I ain't come from no Hebrew Israelite perspective, none of that old crazy stuff. I came from historical perspective, and I had to prove it. I had to do peer-reviewed scholarly research and prove my plight. When I say I don't mind what nobody talk about or your religious perspective, that's okay with me. And I also proved in a misnomer African American department that the Willie Lynch is fake and that Roots was fake. I did an oral dissertation in these specific educational houses. I was able to lecture this when I got my dual master's degree, and I proved all of it was fake. I proved that a lot of stuff come from the Nabatan Library. When a lot of my Islamic brothers don't know what I be talking about when they did stuff. And I say, dude, you have no idea if I show you where your crowd come from. You have no idea. When I show people the Watchtower and all my Islamic brothers from the nation, with all due respect, I'll be like, well, this is this, this is this. And then I'll be showing Jewish text. They'll be like, well, I show you word for word. You'll be like, well, this came from this. I'll be like, I told you. Then I take you to the Nabatan Library, where a lot of the so-called language and interpretation come from. And you can't deny what I'm saying. This is just not common to the average brother and sister when I talk about these sciences and these crafts from an Islamic perspective or a Christian perspective. When people say Islamic scholars or Christian scholars, I'm not saying I'm a religious individual. I'm saying that if I'm teaching something or I'm coming from a perspective, if I'm lecturing, I have to come with the peer-reviewed scholarly research. And I don't let who I am and my manifestation interrupt with my teachings, because I know I have the right. So when I'm speaking from personal reference, when I say yes, I choose to be a Moorish American. I don't care what nobody else say. I choose to be Asiatic. I don't care what nobody else say. I choose for my status to be white. I don't care what nobody else say. The Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, says I have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. And no one will be arbitrated out of a nationality and a right to change it. And the claim of a child replaces the birth certificate. So I'm not here to argue with nobody on the internet from their perspective saying they this and that or what it may be. That's not my concern. My concern is if I say I'm the Son, the S-O-N and the S-U-N, then my job and my mission is to spread light. And light brings light to understanding. The light can warm you up or burn you up, depending on your degree. So if I'm light, all I'm here to do is spread light on a specific context. You cannot get mad in your personal feelings because you don't understand or you weren't introduced to it. You have to accept wisdom and not humble yourself, but give gratitude, because we don't deal with the word humble or nice. This is what I tell people. You can't just learn off TikTok. You can't do that. That's not science. That's not craft. Then you're going to diss everything that belongs to you. Everything have degrees. Everything can be yes and no. And so it's the degree. Remember, it's always who's under that auspice that control the jinn or the angel or whatever you want to call it. And that outer manifestation that explains everything within. So I just wanted to be clear with that with my brothers and sisters as we continue to go in another realm of dispensation, another realm of understanding. Don't fall for the Scooby-Doo trick. God, man, we don't get in trouble for speaking the truth. Ain't nobody coming to get us and then we make it an excuse like, no, no, no. Ain't no alien abducting us. When people say that, they just conjured the wrong level of the jinn in the flesh. That's all. I tell people this. They're like, what you mean, she? I said, listen, it's just like anything you can get. You can get it. But if you're not ready for it, that negative or that lower aspect of that conjuring that you called upon, it can destroy you absolutely. If you're not an adult in what you're doing. If the heart is not operating on a certain level. Because power and absolute power can corrupt you, absolutely. People will start right, but then you will see, well, yeah, you started right, but how could you get caught up in this? How can you get accused for this? How? Who are you around and that lower spirit and other people that will set you up into this type of behavior and be accused for these things and then have to fight for or have to defend yourself? Or I'm not accusing no guilt. If I ain't do nothing, I'm fighting it to the day. I'm fighting, you have to give me 100 years, but I ain't accepting nothing. Nah, I'm taking it to the grave. Give me 100 years. And this is what I tell people. Adult men that really do this work and really understand the spirits and all this stuff, we gonna be here forever. And so when these people talk about some aliens and all that, it's just like the European talk about the Anunnaki. And I tell y'all, the Anunnaki is you, it's the Iberian. I teach all this. It's cap. Zachariah Stitchin, that's where they get that's where they get it from. Research Zachariah Stitchin. He talked about the Anunnaki. It's all pseudo. He couldn't read no plates, none of that. Zachariah Stitchin about the Anunnaki is pseudo. And that's where most of them Negroes and even those Egyptologists brothers get that from. They get it from Zachariah Stitchin. The Anunnaki is the Iberian, but they always try to make it to some alien. When you see the Iberian, you will see the tunic, cotton or silk. You will see the thras. You will see the beard. You will see their fez or their tarbouche, and you will see their scimitar. It ain't no alien. And that's what these people do. I'm telling you. And so they get you caught up with this fake alien things to throw you off the breadcrumbs. And so when they extract money and everything, they say they've been abducted by aliens. But you don't know science, you know the language. If I'm around, they just under the jinn. And when they come from out of the jinn, you see them start doing crazy things, whacked out things you never seen them do. You see them drinking and smoking. You see them hippity because you turn to a court jester. It's almost like the crazy Woody Woodpecker. Would he be like, remember the good Woody Woodpecker and the crazy Woody Woodpecker? It's the same analogy. And I tell people, it happens to all of them. All through history, it happens. How? When you under the jinn. No disrespect to no one. You have to be pure. And when you get these powers, it's going to bring out everything you like. Look at the other brothers in the conscious community. They were under the jinn, they get locked up for what? The perverted things. How? It brings out everything who you are. When I conjure things, it brings out everything who I am. Peace, 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 loving, committed to everything, a nurturer, a giving. That's all it does when you under these things. Just like when you're under hallucinatics or when you're under the DMT. It's only going to activate what you are. When you're under that spell or when you're under that jinn, no matter if it's good or bad or both per se, you don't know how to use that tool. It's going to only bring out what's inside. It's not going to bring out something not inside. And this is when I tell people, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when you get under this, you can get all the things of your heart. It's just, I have all the things in my heart. So when I deal with these certain spirits or these certain angels or the Eligua or the Santeria or the Oshun, or when I deal with the crossroads or when I do root work, I'm already in a certain essence of bliss. I'm just giving homage to what? The gods per se. Understand what I'm saying? And so I hope people have eyes to see and ears to see what I'm saying today that I'm delivering to my brothers and sisters. Don't gravitate to something outside yourself where you miss the essence of all the rest. Because the closest place to find God is in the heart. And you made in the image of the Creator. That's why the Bible says we are gods. So once again, man, I love y'all. Thank you for listening to me. You know, thanks for listening to me, you know, for this time. And once again, I want to thank you for everything. But like I said, hey, navigate the best way possible. Use the tools that make you better. And that's what it's all about. Peace. Peace, y'all. Peace and love. And thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me give shouts out to everybody that's on here. I'm sorry. I didn't give a shout out. Shouts out to, I can't read that good. It's so small. Angel LeBlue. Shouts out to Caroline Wiseman. Shouts out to my noble Alonzo Wright Bay. Peace and love. Shouts out to my noble Brian Hicks Bay. Shouts out to Magic Chemist, if I'm saying that right. Shout out to Santana for all. I hope I'm saying that right. Peace, 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 love, and light to y'all. And y'all more than welcome to join us anytime. We just, like I said, me and my nobles, we kind of miscommunication. We usually stream it live on my Temple and School, on our Temple and School YouTube channel at Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. So please subscribe to that and hit your notifications. But usually most of my muftis, they be busy on Saturday, so I have to, run an audible. But please subscribe to our Timberland School YouTube channel and hit me up anything you need, books, anything, literature, anything. I have a full library and I converted so many books to ebooks, books that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Amazon, So once again, same to you, I stubbed and clipped the veil, Islam. So anything y'all brothers need, man, I have a full library. I can give you things for small little donations so you can download on your tablet, or my muftis can print and bind for you the expensive and rare books. I got anything you need. If y'all need turbans, fez, kufis, shemad, tunics, cotton or silk, hit me up or check out morrishaberdasher.com. But if you want to deal with me specifically, y'all know my hookup. I share my number with y'all. My office number is 602-473-8767. Once again, my office number is 602-473-8767. And my Gmail is Goodman, GOODMANKHARY @gmail.com. I'm getting ready to be flying out tomorrow evening back to my city of Flint. I got a lecture series I'll be doing at the public library. Then I'll be traveling somewhere else, then making my way back. But once again, man, whatever y'all need, I love y'all. Send me a text, send me an email, say peace. I'll send you something free. I'll send you a free piece of wisdom. I'll send you a book. I love you, man. Peace.